Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Listen up, wrestling fans.
And I'll be hyped as a bitch. I'm not finished with you.
Yes, sir.
And here's my favorite show.
This is David Otunga's favorite professional wrestling show. This is the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. My name is Tommy Stryker. Joining me this week is Joe.
What's up?
And we got a new voice on the show. Derek is here.
Hello.
And we'll get into a little bit more on Derek here in a minute. But Taco couldn't be here this week, so we got a replacement for the week. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about as usual on this show. Where the hell did the thing go there?
What a week it's been. So much to talk about.
But, yeah, we got Backlash coming up, so we'll get predictions for that. We'll do some predictions for NXT Takeover Chicago, the New Japan Pro Wrestling tournament for the Best of the Super Juniors. That's starting Wednesday. We got the UK show on Friday. So, and plus everything that's happened this last week, the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. I talked about that on the other podcast that I do, Strong Honor on thefanspodcast.com. I went over the whole Ring of Honor show, did a more in-depth preview for the Best of the Super Juniors tournament that's going to be starting this week. But we'll get into some of my predictions for the Best of Super Juniors a little later in the show. But first of all, we got a new voice here on the show this week.
Who the hell is that?
And if you could... If you could, Derek, just tell the listeners who you are, how you became a wrestling fan, and what you're watching these days, and just kind of get us up to speed.
Right on. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I am old school wrestling fan. I mean, old school for me. Like, I grew up watching wrestling, and it was like Monday Night Wars.
Right on.
And we were on the WCW side of
okay.
things, me and my old man, and Goldberg. Goldberg was always...
Okay.
And at the time, my dad kind of looked like him.
Nice.
He had the super slick head, and he was a bigger dude, and
Yep.
so like we kind of had this Goldberg thing going.
Right on.
Okay, so yeah, that's how I got started, and then I've been friends with Joe and Taco for a long time, and
Right on.
so yeah, I mean,
We all just kind of introduced, Taco introduced wrestling to us again. Just
Yes.
bringing it. He
Got
wasn't
everybody
as
back into
avid
it.
as a watcher, but like he talked about it, and then all of a sudden it all derailed from down there.
And then what
Yeah.
are you watching anything on a regular basis these days? Are you just kind of in and out? What are you getting into?
just in and out. I like it. Like if a pay-per-view comes up or the availability to watch is there, then I kind of I get in on it that way. I don't have really. I'm not keeping up on my own.
Sure.
But I'll keep up on YouTube and like with the WWE stuff at least.
Sure.
So
Do you have the network? Or are you watching any
I
of the stuff?
I don't have the network.
You just kind of with like your buddies getting
super
together.
casual, yeah.
Right on. Your buddies
Yeah.
get together and watch it. You're checking it out.
But
that
enough
kind of thing.
enough to kind of keep up, and,
Sure,
and have an understanding.
You know what's going on.
For
you know
sure.
who Baron Corbin is, and when he gets in there with
Yeah.
Randy Orton on
Baron Corbin.
on SmackDown. So yeah, okay. It'll be really interesting to talk about. We'll get into the Ring of Honor stuff a little later, but we got to watch a couple of matches from that pay-per-view earlier with you today, so it'll be interesting to hear what your opinion is on some of that stuff. But yeah, it's cool to have someone with a little more of a casual look on things on the show to just kind of get that perspective. It's funny, we talked about just the how much we follow this stuff. Like a year ago when you and Taco and I restarted the show just a little over a year ago, just after WrestleMania last year, and then you came on like 2 weeks after. So it's about a year ago since we restarted this podcast in its current incarnation. And at that time, both you, Joe, and Taco were you didn't have cable TV. I don't think you still do.
I don't. I have what they call basic cable.
Okay, but it wasn't necessarily that you guys were watching Raw every Monday, or you would find a way to see clips on YouTube or whatever. and just the evolution over the past year of how you guys are finding a way to watch Raw every week now. And we're coming over here. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to watch SmackDown and talk about it every week. And it
just kind of went.
It worked out that it started playing live on Tuesdays, and we just started doing the show after SmackDown, and then all the other stuff too. I mean, the evolution of New Japan. Taco's a subscriber to New Japan now,
I'm
so
that close.
Joe's on the fence about it. So
it's not that. It's justifying it to the wife on two different networks.
Right. But yeah, that's the thing too. Is that there's a cost involved, of course. So it's the more you dive deep into it, the more it's like, oh, gee, I gotta see that. So it's
again, a year ago, I would have never even heard of Kyle O'Reilly or Will Ospreay or even Ricochet.
Right.
And now I can't get enough of just trying to find any match I can of any of these guys.
Well, speaking right away, I don't want to forget to get to this point, but I'm sure it'll get brought up when we talk a little bit of Best of Super Juniors. Speaking of YouTube and Ricochet, the awesome Ricochet versus Will Ospreay match from the Best of Super Juniors tournament from last year is available for free on YouTube and on NJPWWorld.com this week.
That's the watch.
So that's their free match. I'll post a link on our website, bestprowrestlingpodcast.com. So if nothing else, you can just go there and find that match from last year's Best of Super Juniors. So that we are going to get a rematch of that match in the next week. I believe it's day 2, so the Thursday/Friday show of the Best of Super Juniors, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. We usually start off with a general discussion of the pro wrestling news, so let's do that before we go any further.
Pro wrestling
news.
We have quite a bit of news for you.
I misplaced my news page here. Okay, so yeah, the UK Championship Special is taking place this Friday. Tyler Bate defending the title. I assume he keeps it since this was already taped the last week or so when they were in the UK, and he's defending it live on NXT Takeover on Saturday.
Why you gotta do that, man?
I'm just assuming. I haven't seen spoilers. For all I know, Pete Dunne wins it. And Pete Dunne's defending it.
I really want Pete Dunne to win that.
People want Pete Dunne to win it at Takeover, but maybe he already won it at the UK show. Who knows? But that show is going to debut Friday on WWE Network. Jim Ross and Nigel McGuinness calling the action. That'll be cool.
That's going to be fun.
Awesome. Yeah, the IWGP United States Championship was announced that it was created, and that the first IWGP US champion will be crowned at the New Japan shows on July 1st and 2nd. They're going to do a single elimination tournament during those 2 days. There was some confusion. There was a little bit, something got lost in translation, and some people thought it was going to be a round robin tournament, which would be really difficult to do in 2 days. You could do it if you had like 3 or 4 guys, or if you did it maybe on road to shows building up to it during the month of June, going into July, I suppose. Talked about this a little bit on Strong Honor as well. But Joe, you mentioned there's people are getting a little bit of heat for giving some heat to New Japan for adding another championship. But you said you kind of liked the idea, or at least liked the look of the belt.
Well, I like the look of the belt, and I like the idea because it's showing that New Japan is willing to branch that much into the United States. They're putting a belt in our, on our soil, if you want to say it that way. And that's a big step for them. I mean, they've taken big step after big step, adding their own network. They've got basically their own WrestleMania, which had the only technical 6-star match in history from Meltzer.
Yep.
I'm excited. I want to see New Japan succeed into the United States.
I think I'm optimistic about it and I agree that New Japan is definitely bordering on. Well, they do have too many championships. You could merge the junior tag titles with the heavyweight tag titles, I think, and just have one giant tag team division. I think that would be a good way to go, because having it be split up into 2 different, I think, dilutes it. I
think it works for New Japan just with how many small guys they do have over there, but it would dilute over into America, where it just doesn't translate as well.
But again, it's just those extra championships. It's a lot. I like the junior heavyweight. I like the Intercontinental for IWGP.
What about the 6-man?
I don't like the 6-man, though. But it's kind of funny because they make fun of their own 6-man championships because they change hands almost every time they're defended. So it's like they know that they have too many championships, and they just kind of they don't even treat that one seriously. So that's kind of funny. So I get the heat on the IWGP United States Championship. Now, I'm optimistic because I think that there's a chance that they could do it right. If it's only defended in the United States, I think would be a good way. So not defended regularly in New Japan. So obviously this is their first big shows these on July 1st and 2nd for New Japan, with planned expansion into the United States next year more and more. Nothing further announced this year, but it could be defended in Ring of Honor, for example, during the whenever the New Japan guys come over for those shows. So, and that happens 2 or 3 times a year.
Well, and again, you can set up a big, like this War of the Worlds we just saw with Ring of Honor New Japan. You can set up a giant U.S. versus, Japan pay-per-view alone. You can have the IWPG champion over there facing the United States IWGP championship over here. And then whoever wins they can maintain control of where the pay-per-view's at. If they win more matches, it goes over to Japan. There's tons of way to go.
There really is. And there's another argument to be made out there as well, as New Japan has the heavyweight championship, and then they have the IC championship. Well, why not just have the IC champ be the American title instead of adding a title? So I could see that argument as well. And you even brought up the idea a couple of weeks ago, Joe, of having the IC and heavyweight champions wrestle each other, and that could even be a unification kind of a thing too. So there's options out there to see, I don't
it's a fun step.
Right.
It's in the right direction, and considering the show sold out in like 15-20, both days sold out in like 15-20 minutes, I think we'll see more.
Yeah, there's definitely big interest in New Japan. I mean, it's not a Ring of Honor show. There's going to be Ring of Honor guys on the show, but there's a high degree of interest for an actual New Japan show, like their ring, their setup, their stuff, their style. That's a different thing from Ring of Honor. So there's a huge interest in that. So it'll be really interesting to see how that ends up. And I'm really interested to see too the announcement that is going to be coming in the next week or so of how Access TV is going to be covering the broadcast for it, because it sounds like they're going to be broadcasting it live. I heard a couple of different people speculating that they might just be doing like 1 hour of the thing. I'd like to see the entire show, both on the first and second, broadcasted live.
It still takes something over nothing too.
Right, exactly. And the thing is it will be available live on the streaming service on the NJPWworld.com. So we'll at least be able to see the entire show. But I think it would be cool for people that don't have the subscription to kind of get a window into that world and be able to see it on Access TV. And also, I'd like to see a nice advertising campaign. Advertising during Raw and Smackdown and stuff like that. To really get the word out about that show. So we'll see how it goes over the next month and a half to build up to that thing. Randy Orton turned heel on Twitter. It was
brutal.
Well, it started off with a Rip Rogers tweet. He's kind of a guy who's a trainer now. Did some stuff back in the day, of course. He retweeted something from another indie wrestler. Let me get it up here. I should talk about it. Now it's a picture of this big long diatribe. So Rip Rogers tweets this out: every indie match now. Handshake, drawn-out move exchange. This is awesome chant. Strike exchange. Dive. No sell indie strong style. dive. More strikes, no sells, dive. Flippy floppy sequence, dive. Hit everyone with each other's finisher, then Humpty Dumpty, we all fall down. Fight forever chant, rinse, repeat until every move is useless and means nothing, dive. Take unsafe shot that looks like shit and hurts like hell, then roll up finish. Handshake and hug after the match, everyone's hand raise, all these guys chant, go home and type on social media thanking your opponents and the company for the match and telling others they should book these guys, ... dive. So Rip Rogers tweets that. That thing was originated by indie wrestler Daniel Parker, and I'm reading this off of pwtorch.com, by the way. So they did a nice article putting all of these tweets and stuff together. So Randy Orton retweets the thing. Then he says, I should apologize for this. And then Randy Orton puts his non-apology apology out. And this is kind of what Randy is getting heat for here. Sorry to the indie marks, indie guys, and old timers who do dives. Sorry to the who do dives. I'm just going to start this over. He says, time. Sorry to the indie marks, indie guys, and old timers who do dives took offense. Just having a good time over a few drinks in Denmark, closing the Smackdown live tour. While beating Raw and making over $5 million in the last 11 shows. Now, I know to some that doesn't equate to a standing room only crowd of 150 people paying $8 at an armory somewhere, but in the big boy world, that's called putting asses in the seats. So enjoy your flips, dives, and 20 super kicks per match, to each their own. I will go dive back into my 13th title run and get ready to flip when my bank statement comes this month. ... Headlock.
Hashtag suck my dick.
So, yeah, it's bullshit because Randy Silver Platter, he gets in the WWE because of his name. He's never had to sing for his supper on the indie scene, all of that. He goes out and puts on the most generic, boring WWE-style matches ever. Case in point, the main event of SmackDown today that we watched. Yeah. He's never had to sing for his supper, but there are good points in some of this. The crazy indie style can get too crazy sometimes. That being said, and we'll talk about the Ring of Honor stuff that we watched earlier today. If those guys go out there, if Will Ospreay and Jay White go out and have a Randy Orton Jinder Mahal match, nobody's going to give a fuck about it. If the Young Bucks go out there and do what I don't know, what was the tag match from SmackDown today? Oh, the Colognes and Breezango. If the Young Bucks go out and do what Breezango do, entertaining as Breezango's promo was, correct. But if they go out there and do that match, nobody's going to give a fuck. So indie guys have to do stuff to stand out, to get over. Once you're a big guy in the WWE, yeah, you can go out there and work a WWE-style match, and it's okay because that's what the crowd has been trained to see. That's what the TV audience is used to. The TV audience is used to taking commercials in the middle of the matches, and the matches are all the same. Everybody knows when the TV commercial's coming because he throws the guy outside of the ring, and they do a spot outside, and then they go to commercial, and they come back, and the guy's in a headlock, 2 elbows to the chest, bounce off the ropes, clothesline comeback, fire up, kid, and then you go to the finish, which is usually some sort of fucking distraction at ringside, and then a fucking roll-up. So you want to break down the indie style and talk about how formulaic it is with dives and all the bullshit. WWE is just as formulaic, and I would argue more boring.
Far more boring.
I
think you might have covered that one.
I think I did. And I mentioned already the last year's Ricochet versus Ospreay match, free on NJPW World and on YouTube, but I did have that at the bottom of my news notes.
Check it out.
All right, let's change the subject. Let's talk Monday Night Raw.
Change the subject.
Monday Night Raw.
So, Derek, you mentioned being a bit of the more casual side. Did you get a chance to see Raw, or did you just check out some clips? Or?
Yeah, I got bits and pieces.
All right, so you're in and out. You kind of
that's all you need for.
I have a general idea.
Right on.
What's going on.
So we talked a lot of crap, but don't worry, Taco has trouble with that microphone too. So
it goes limp all the time.
It happens.
I got it.
But last week's Raw, very lackluster. We didn't much care for that last week's show at all. This week's Raw, I really enjoyed. The main event not as good as the Finn Balor Roman Reigns match, I thought, but
agreed.
Good stuff on the show. Let's just kind of run through the matches and kind of hit the points as we go. Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus was the first match on the show. Jeff Hardy gets the win with the Swanton / Twist of Fate after Sheamus brogue kicks Matt Hardy off the apron sloppily, but they're continuing to build up to the rematch here. This was fine. I thought it was kind of teasing the idea that Sheamus is going to brogue kick Matt Hardy so many times that eventually he's going to be broken again.
Oh, yeah. I'm hoping.
So, but yeah, anything to add? Any other thoughts with this match?
I just love this feud in general. I mean, every match is something to watch, and you're excited to see these guys fight each other, especially now that they've solidified themselves. Cesaro has solidified themselves as fucking heels. So I don't know. It's gonna be a fun match. I think it's gonna be a hard hitting match, even for a Hardy match.
Alicia Fox versus Sasha Banks. I got some things to say. I got some opinions on this hot mess. So it made sense to have the rematch. Last week, Alicia Fox's shoulder was obnoxiously not down for the 3 count. I don't know if that was planned or not, but they do the rematch here. I'm thinking it wasn't planned because they gave this match about 3 fucking minutes. Alicia Fox wins clean over Sasha Banks with a scissor kick after dumping Sasha Banks onto the apron so they could kind of doing the injury angle on Sasha Banks' leg a little bit.
Again.
But this was so fast. And they think about it. Okay, so SmackDown gave, I don't know, it felt like 10 minutes to Naomi versus Carmella, which was a shit show. But it was a long match, and the crowd was into it. The crowd is into Sasha Banks. I kind of dig Alicia Fox now she's back in the ring. Her offense, to me, has always looked, maybe not always, but recently, has definitely looked hard-hitting, you know? It looks like she's trying to injure people when she wrestles them. So I like Alicia Fox's offense as compared to somebody like Carmella, who looks like she doesn't like to hurt or like to try to hurt other people. So that's a problem. So I thought this match should have been longer if the idea is to get Alicia Fox over, and to me it came off as a burial of Sasha Banks with such a quick loss. Am I reading way too much into Alicia Fox and Sasha Banks here?
If it wasn't Sasha Banks or Charlotte, honestly, if it wasn't one of those two, I don't understand it. Like, I mean, again, like you said, Alicia Fox is okay. She's been okay over the last little bit.
Right. And if they had given this match a ton of time, told that story, like as much time as Carmella versus Naomi on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Had they just done that, it would get the idea, oh, Alicia Fox is back. Oh, and she's kicking ass now. But it was more like, it felt like Alicia Fox literally kicked Sasha Banks' ass.
Yeah,
Sasha Banks
match,
didn't have much offense, and she did get some stuff in, but it was just like, oh, shit, Alicia Fox just won.
I just think they don't have anything for Sasha. If she's not in the title hunt, who else does she have to face on Raw? And
that's a valid point. And again, if Raw is going to be a 3-hour-long show, why can't this be 10 minutes and tell a better story? And I'm not arguing for the idea of more shenanigans. I like the idea that once in a while a heel can get a clean win, but I just thought it should have been a better presentation, possibly. Maybe I'm insane. I could see people arguing too. It's fucking Alicia Fox and Sasha. Let's let them go do their 3-minute thing, tell that story, and we'll move on to next week. So I can see that side of the argument as well. So
just poor Sasha.
Yeah. We'll see what they do going forward, because this could definitely lead to a better match at some point in the future. So Dean Ambrose took on The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. This was an okay match. I don't know. It was first hour main event kind of a thing, but a decent match. But we got I liked the finish.
I liked the finish as well.
Maurice distracting the referee at ringside. Miz goes for the low blow. Ambrose catches the low blow, then says "fuck you" and kicks him in the nuts. The ref sees the kick to the nuts, disqualifies Ambrose. Ambrose gets to keep the championship because of a disqualification.
And now, Miz is whining in the back.
Yeah. Well, I like Miz fucking selling it like crazy at ringside, and then goes to Angle in the back. Now, this is where WWE becomes WWE and doesn't make any fucking sense. So he goes to Angle and says, "We can't let this stand. I want another chance at the title." And so Angle's like, "You make a good point. even though you cheated and tried to distract the ref so you could hit him in the nuts, you're going to get another chance. So that's where the bullshit comes in. Like, why does he get another Angle? Watching the match, he should have been able to see that it was the Miz that was fucking full of shit and trying to cheat. But okay, well, technically it was a DQ, so you're going to get a and you know what? We're going to make it so now that if he gets DQ'd, he loses the championship. What kind of bullshit is that? I mean, that doesn't make it. I thought Angle was a babyface. No wonder people chant "You suck" when he comes out. So I don't know. Am I thinking too much about this? I don't know.
I think you are a little bit honest. It's just typical WWE bullshit. I think it's just Miz. It's really Miz just working Miz at this point.
And honestly, I was entertained by the segment, the finish, and where it's going.
And why is Kurt Angle on a call with Sami Zayn? By the way, I just want to throw that in there for that.
Well, they did the bit before Sami left. He got the phone number somehow. So now I like the idea. I don't like the idea that Sami is this neurotic overthinker because it kind of paints him in this light of an idiot, or not an idiot, just a nerd, an uber dork, yeah. And so they're making a babyface look like a dork, which is probably not a good idea. But I do like how Angle works it. Like he's on the like, no, Sami, I'll call you back. Don't call me. You're annoying. So I like that bit of it. So. Let's see.
That was when the Drifter came in, right?
Yeah, that was
just stood there,
right? Because Maurice started talking to in French to Kurt Angle, which was I love Kurt Angle just reacting to Maurice like the first time around it was just he didn't know what to do, but now this time he's learned a little bit of French. And what did he say?
Just sweet gold freaking medal.
Yeah. So I got a kick out of that too. That was good stuff. Jesus, I got a burp in me like no tomorrow coming here.
Push it.
Oh God! Excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
The Alexa Bliss promo. She's being a heel, doing her thing. Bayley comes out and interrupts. And she is invoking her rematch clause. Bliss says, "Oh, but Bayley, it's at Extreme Rules. You don't want to do that." They do the brawl. Gets the kendo stick. Hits Bayley in the back. Bayley's now back in the training room. Kurt Angle's very concerned. "Bayley, you're such a hugger. You're such a nice person. We're gonna make even though it's at Extreme Rules, we're gonna make this a regular match." And I'm popping like, yes. A regular match. No bullshit, no stipulations. Not every match is no disqualification for once. But then Bayley... Go ahead. Well, Bayley technically does the right thing because she's like, okay, no. I don't want that. I want to prove that I'm ready for this. I want to prove I'm ready for Extreme Rules. I want to be in this match. Let's make this thing crazy. No, anything goes. And Angle's like, I got it. I'm going to channel my inner Vince Russo.
Oh, thank you.
It's going to be a kendo stick on a pole match. So we're going to have a stick on a stick match, 3 weeks at Extreme Rules.
And I just want to point out that one of the problems we had with Bayley right off the bat was technically her wins were not legitimate. They were always saying, so she wants to prove herself in a anything goes match.
Well, she wants to get her revenge on Alexa Bliss, but because Bayley is such a nice person, she's not the type of person to just grab a kendo stick and attack her in the backstage interview area. She's going to want to do it where the rules allow that sort of shenanigans. So that to me made sense.
All right.
So anyway, Neville took Neville and TJP. I guess they are calling him TJP now. Neville and TJP took on Jack Gallagher and Austin Aries. The crowd was more interested in the beach ball and shenanigans in the crowd. Nobody really cared.
It's because it's another fucking tag team match.
Yep.
Do something with the cruiserweights on Raw or leave them alone.
And yeah, no promos or anything going into this really. Well, I guess there was. They did do the one thing where Neville and TJ Perkins are in the back, and that might have even been after the match. Actually, now that I think about it, where Neville is telling TJ Perkins. No, yeah, it was after, because it was after TJP defeated Gallagher with the detonation kick. So after the match, TJ Perkins is feeling good, got the win, and Neville's like, you can't get your championship shot yet. We got to deal with Austin Aries on 205 Live. We will deal with him. So reaffirming the teams, the teaming between Neville and TJP. But yeah, it's too bad that it was my worst fear of the cruiserweights being on Raw. It's pretty much it's pretty much happened. They're the divas of of Raw
Bathroom
now.
break.
So, even the fucking Alicia Fox, Sasha Banks thing, 3-minute throwaway match. It's fucking divas again. So that sucks. I don't like that. Another Golden Truth promo / skit. The promo was good. I was into it. I'm like, yeah, fucking Golden Truth versus Anderson and Gallows. Yeah, let's do this. Let's get some Golden Truth wins. Get some momentum going. They get out there. They're singing the fucking song, which I don't like, by the way, the fucking bouncing Goldust hat. So thank God Goldust Pearl Harbor's R-Truth, and they break him up. Goldust with the big heel turn. How'd you feel about that one?
I mean, we heard about it before, but fucking R-Truth's going to be doing a game show on the WWE Network. He's going to be locked up.
I forgot about that.
Honestly, I think you need to separate Goldust from R-Truth. I go back as far as just the match he was fighting for Cody Rhodes' job when he was just kind of coming back into real matches with WWE. The guy can still wrestle.
Yeah.
Give him a chance. I'm not saying world heavyweight title, but just put him in something. Have him fight somebody, worth it. Don't just put Goldust out there to be Goldust anymore.
I like him in the tag division, so I don't know if they're planning on moving him to more of a singles role or if they're just breaking these two up for the sake of breaking them up. I don't know. I'm sure we'll get an Extreme Rules match out of these two possibly. But yeah,
show stealer.
I want to see Goldust in a tag team more. I don't know. Do you like the idea of him having a singles run?
What do you think?
I feel like the idea of a singles run is cool just because I just heard Joe bring it up. I've always liked Goldust as a tag team guy. And I think he's weird enough, and the R-Truth thing has been weird enough. But, at a certain point in a person's career, or you get so far into a thing, I think it would be cool to see him, be the bad guy for a little bit of time and be on his own and accomplish some things for himself.
Well, he can't. I mean, I'm not trying to say he's that old, but I mean, he can't have that much left in the tank to really give this WWE schedule.
I don't know. He's in the shape of his life. I don't think they'd put him out on the road anyway, unless he got really hot. But again, I like when he first came back and was teaming with Cody, they were having some really great tag team matches. So I like him in the tag division, but let's see what he can do in the singles division. Like I said, guy's in great shape, probably some of the best shape of his life. So, and he's got his backstage role that he's doing, kind of being a what do you call it, an agent or something, or a producer or whatever. He does some of that too, so.
Well, and he's obviously on Raw, so now, as stupid as it sounds, I don't. We'll get into it later, but I don't think Bray Wyatt's getting the number one contendership for one. But putting Goldust versus Bray Wyatt, again, the weirdest fucking thing. I mean, I'm not trying to go the Randy Orton Bray Wyatt here, but just think about the conversations Goldust would have with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. He could be a guy to put over a guy like Bray Wyatt.
Exactly.
Too.
So, and give him a good match.
We are kind of burying the lead. I didn't mention the Angle at the top of the show where Angle comes out and decides to make the number one contenders match.
Angle with the Angle.
Braun Strowman is out for what the WWE says 6 months, which means he'll be back in 3 or 4 to make him look like an awesome, he has awesome recovery skills. They always
overshoot, overestimate.
Yeah, with those recovery times so that it looks spectacular when they come back.
So why is he out? Or what?
It was he had to have elbow surgery or elbow or shoulder surgery. They're saying on TV they're saying he shattered his elbow. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. Yeah. But shoulder, elbow, one of the other. It's probably a 3 or 4 month recovery.
But it sounds like it was a lingering thing too. It wasn't just something he had done.
Right, especially since they did the Angle last week where Reigns beats the shit out of him and works the shoulder and the elbow. Yeah. It was probably just something that needed to be, like you said, lingering, that needed to be taken care of. Going to be out for a little while, but not quite as long. So, yeah. But so they set up the 5-way, the fatal 5-way for Extreme Rules in 3 weeks. It's going to be Seth Rollins, Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Bray Wyatt, and Roman Reigns. So, what do you think about the 5-way and those guys being in there?
I like the idea of the match. You could just take Roman Reigns out of it, and I'd be good because I liked what he was doing with Braun Strowman, but now I feel like there's nothing for him. But, I mean, think about it. We got Finn Balor in the same ring as Samoa Joe, in the same ring as Seth Rollins, in the same ring as Bray Wyatt. You know, all the different shades of indie and WWE, all of it shaded in there.
And I like the little video, the little pictures that they put up of every competitor face to face with Lesnar. So putting that idea that, you know, it could be this guy versus Brock Lesnar, that guy versus Brock Lesnar. So yeah, it's an interesting dynamic just to see who comes out of it. So
well, you know who's coming out of it.
Well, and I think I like all of these guys versus Brock Lesnar, with the exception of like Bray Wyatt, because I think didn't we see that at some point?
I feel like it didn't actually happen.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was going to be and ended up being Ambrose or something.
Yeah.
Because it was Wyatt versus Undertaker.
Here's one thing I will point out. I was waiting for you to bring it up again with Bray Wyatt and the situation. Bray Wyatt versus Paul Heyman on the mic. I think it would be actually pretty fun because Paul Heyman would be like, we're not dealing with this bullshit. We don't give a shit who you are. We don't care how evil you are. Brock Lesnar's still going to eat the shit out of you. Well, that didn't sound good.
That being said, as down as I've been on the Bray Wyatt promos lately, his promo on Raw this week I thought was good because he talked about how he wants to fucking beat these guys and beat the opponents so he can get to Brock Lesnar and face the Beast and win the championship.
Monster versus the Beast.
So yeah, I liked it because it felt like he was talking about winning matches and going for titles instead of the fucking you're coming into my nightmare and you're gonna go to hell and be in purgatory and all this other shit that he talks about happening that never actually happens. So I like when he talks about winning matches and going for championships. So I liked his promo from Monday. But yeah, the idea of Rollins versus Lesnar, I like. Samoa Joe, awesome. How awesome would that be?
Yeah, that's an awesome match.
Finn Balor having an awesome competitive match with Brock Lesnar would be great. Even if Balor loses in the end, I think that would be an awesome match. Reigns versus Lesnar. We've seen it. It's rumored for WrestleMania next year, so I don't think that they're going to do it here, possibly. They did a pretty good job of building up Finn Balor on Raw. Let's talk about this Balor versus Roman Reigns match for a minute, because wow, this was a hell of a good match and a disappointing finish, but almost expected because they brought up the fact that Finn Balor defeated Roman Reigns his first night on Monday Night Raw, and so instantly I'm thinking, well, that means Reigns is winning because he's got to get his win back. But again, they did the Roman Reigns video package again right before the match. Roman Reigns comes out and he's all taped up, and I'm thinking, okay, Finn's got something he can work with here. Finn's got a chance to win this match. He's got that taped up shoulder. He could win. Plausible deniability. Reigns could say, I wasn't 100%, da-da-da-da-da. So we got the built-in excuse. But no, they didn't do that. But I really enjoyed the match between these two. It was the story of Finn Balor trying to hit the combination of the sling blade, the missile drop kick going into the coup de grace. At one point, he just hits the sling blade, can't get the drop kick. Second time around, he gets the sling blade, the drop kick, goes up for the coup de grace. Reigns knocks him down, spear 1, 2, 3. Basically, it was a little more complicated than that, but it was a hell of a match. And I want to give Reigns credit here. I mean, he was basically playing the role of a heel.
Absolutely.
Because, that was the story. And I feel the same way in the stuff with Strowman. And now fucking Strowman is gone for how many ever months. And when he comes back, it's going to be a fucking hero's welcome for Strowman. Yeah. So it's
going to be awesome.
Yeah. The thing is I feel like Roman knows he should be playing a heel, but the office isn't quite letting him go there yet. They gave him the line during the promo when Balor faced off with him at the beginning of the show. He's like, "No, you got good heart, kid, but this is my yard." They're still letting Roman be babyface, or technically in the promos and whatnot. And even in the fucking thing after the big brawl at the beginning, they're in the back and the quote unquote baby faces are all arguing with each other. Rollins and Reigns and Finn, and they're in the back, and then Angle says, "Well, we're gonna make matches." So, I liked that part of it. But yeah, they gotta get the heel push for Roman Reigns
badly.
That's the only way this Reigns thing is going to work at this point. At any point, I don't know.
My problem with this match too is that the way they set it up, it sets up Reigns and Lesnar. Like, I don't listen to the year-long, like, WrestleMania rumors.
Sure.
Like, I start looking at those maybe, like, December, if I'm lucky. But you've got Samoa Joe and Rollins who are still going at it. You've got Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt who has said he's going after the Demon King. That just leaves Roman Reigns.
Yeah, well, and it was supposed to be Strowman though for
God, just for that brief second.
for this. So, but because Strowman is out, we don't know. So, I mean, and that's why they were building to, you know, they were building to Finn and Wyatt and everything. And so this is the Superstar Shakeup 2.0 because Strowman is out. So, yeah, I don't know how to. We're gonna have to watch and see how it plays out on Raw the next couple of weeks to see how they do the build and see what it feels like they're gonna do for the actual winner of that match. Other stuff from Monday Night Raw, the Big Cass versus Titus. For what this was, and I talk about how... I talk about frequently on my show the sound that my remote control makes whenever I fast forward is the Titus O'Neil sound. But I was thoroughly entertained by this whole thing. Cass and Enzo coming out doing their thing, doing their spiel, then fucking Titus coming out making fun of it, and fucking Apollo Crews being like, "Calm down, man, just knock it off, just settle down." Titus just being flippant and over the top. Titus finds out that he's in the match, not Apollo Crews. Titus has to wrestle in his, $5,000 suit and his $1,200 shoes. Fucking Big Cass wins with a big boot to the face, and then fucking Enzo gets cute after the match, and he wants to take a selfie because that's what Titus has been doing, is taking selfies with Apollo Crews after the matches and posting them on social media. So Enzo gets cute, starts taking the selfie, and Apollo Crews coming to the defense of Titus, like fucking kicks Enzo in the head because he's like, "No, don't make fun of my guy. I'm gonna find." For some reason, Apollo Crews is on. I guess he felt bad because
he has a personality.
I guess
he's doing something. I mean, it says it's with Titus, but before, I mean, literally, who is Apollo Crews? Tell me more about Apollo Crews, Tommy.
Well, he is full on Titus brand now, baby. So we'll see. It'll probably be Enzo versus Crews next week, and we'll build up to a big pay-per-view at Extreme Rules between Titus and fucking.
Ooh, I smell a pre-show.
Yeah. Finally, the main event for Monday Night Raw: Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins. For the first time ever, they kept touting. In the middle of the match, they throw up the fatal five-way graphic, which I thought was really weird. Just in the middle of the match, here's the graphic, the 5-way's coming. Because this match for me, I don't know, it didn't deliver. Wyatt versus Rollins. Maybe it was because Reigns and Balor was just so good, but I don't know. What did you think of this one?
Same. It was just kind of lackluster. I mean, it was there to be there, but I loved the finish. I loved how everything ended up at the end because, again, I like when Bray Wyatt just befriends somebody, we'll say, and then he's just like, fuck you, I'm done. Yeah,
the Samoa Joe coming out, very predictable, ending in the DQ, and then teaming up, putting the boots to Rollins, and then, of course, Sister Abigail's on everybody, and Wyatt standing tall at the end, I thought was a nice little touch. So, again, playing into the idea that Wyatt is a contender. So, I like that. All right, like I said, good Raw. Let's change it up. Talk some SmackDown now. We got SmackDown and Backlash predictions to get into.
Change the subject. SmackDown Live.
I'm going to make this a tag team match.
SmackDown, decent show this week, not as good as Raw.
No.
The main event was horse shit. Nothing really stand out match-wise from this show, which is kind of bad going into a pay-per-view if you think about it. I mean, AJ versus Jinder was okay, but it was more just like AJ's awesome in this.
Versus Baron?
Baron versus Orton was off. I'm talking AJ versus Jinder, the opening match of the show. We just got done watching it, And it was
First day?
That's how good it was.
Yeah, exactly. So it started off with, we had a couple of different highlight reels on this show, but it started off with the Kevin Owens highlight reel, stealing the Chris Jericho gimmick. He intros his guest in French, but AJ comes out. He says he didn't do well in French class, but he wants to bring the U.S. title back to the good old USA. Jinder comes out, and they end up having the match, AJ versus Jinder. Boy.
Now I remember.
Yeah, you got it now.
What did you think of this? Where are you guys at on this Jinder push? I think it was funny when it first started. He started cutting promos. Now he's winning matches in shitty ways with the Singh brothers, the Bollywood boys. I don't know. Where are you guys at on this thing?
Go ahead.
I think it feels really weird. Like we were cracking jokes, and I feel like you guys probably touch on this whole thing, but like, he looks like a PSA for steroids right now.
We frequently refer to Jinder as being the king of the protein poke.
Yeah.
And we call him Juiced Up Jinder on the show. So, he's definitely getting into something strange.
It kind of feels like he had a bet with somebody in the back. He was, I'm not on steroids. You wait. But he's going to definitely be on steroids.
Well, anytime he ends up talking, he was like, I work really hard. I've changed my training and my diet, and I work harder than anybody else on the roster. And, you work really hard poking them needles into your ass, buddy. Yeah. So, but the push feels out of place now. There's a reason why the guy was in 3MB. And he's working really hard. He's hitting harder. Like I even mentioned before this push, he had a couple of matches like with Sheamus and Cesaro or whatever on Raw. And I'm like, damn, this Jinder thing kind of came out of nowhere, but he's hitting hard. He's putting in work in the ring, but then he just gets this fucking shoot to the moon push out of nowhere on SmackDown.
It's all about that India thing now. They were doing tryouts in India.
That's what everybody's saying. And if you want to have a star in India, why the fuck is he this bullshit heel? He keeps talking about how everyone in America hates me because I am the way I am and my skin color and this and blah 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 blah. People don't. Randy Orton's promo was perfect. People don't like you, Jinder, because you're an ass. People don't like Jinder because he's not good. He has to have the Singh brothers out there with him to help him win matches. The Bollywood boys. And that's the story. The Bollywood boys helped him win the stupid 4-way to get the number 1 contendership. The Bollywood boys help him to win versus AJ Styles. Jinder Mahal beat AJ fucking Styles. That's what happened.
It's more shocking than James Ellsworth being 3 up on AJ.
And honestly, it wasn't as offensive as the Alicia Fox thing, because at least it was a log match, and at least it was bullshit. At least it was the Singh brothers causing the distraction and all the bullshit, and he wins with his finisher after all the nonsense. So it was what it was.
The thing about it is, like you said, he's hitting hard, but I was hoping, as weird as it sounds, being in the ring with some of this more experienced talent, heavyweight talent, I was going to see more experience out of Jinder, and he still looks like he's fucking people up, man.
Yeah, he's very clunky.
Yeah, he's clunky. AJ looked awesome, but he looked like he was trying to make Jinder look good. And even at the end of the show, after the awful Randy Orton versus Baron Corbin, the formulaic WWE match, I turned to you guys before the match, like, what's the over-under on how many dives we're going to have on this match? But after the match, fucking Jinder's out there laying out Randy Orton standing tall, which is telling going into the pay-per-view for me. We'll get into our prediction here momentarily. But where was I going here? Well, we'll get back to the beginning of the show. Like, I don't know. That's when it was Jinder standing tall over Randy Orton. It's just like, come on, really? It was just, I don't know. All right, let's getting all fucked up over this thing.
Oh, it's really got you worked up, man. Jinder's fucking you up, man.
Let's calm down here. Predictions. All right, let's Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles, United States champion. Derek, you're the new guy. You're coming at this from a casual point of view. How are you feeling about that match going into the pay-per-view on Sunday? Does Kevin Owens retain, or is it AJ's time to get the title?
Kevin Owens, okay. United States of America champion.
I do like the touch now that they're calling it the United States of America Championship, and that Kevin Owens is making them say that. Joe, what do you say?
Which it sounds, I'm going to agree with him.
Prediction.
I'm going to agree with him, but only for the fact that I just don't. I like this feud. I think they're going to extend it just because these are two really good wrestlers. And they're trying, I don't know, they're almost making that title worth more than the heavyweight title.
Well, when you got Randy Orton and Jinder going for the heavyweight title, and Randy Orton just boring the pants out of everybody ever since winning that title, it does feel more important. And Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles, I think, will be a really good standout match from the show. I agree with you guys. I think Kevin Owens, he just won it from Chris Jericho, so to switch it again would feel hot potato-ish. Keep it on Kevin Owens. Have Kevin Owens win it with some bullshit, and extend this feud out and have these two battle back and forth.
I'm just excited for this one. This one, I've been waiting for this one, especially on a pay-per-view, obviously, like just to see these two finally go at it.
We had Breezango. Well, before Breezango, we had Lana doing her dancing video routine again.
She is going to be a hell of a wrestler.
Jesus, she must be a hard-hitting fighter, because to just go out and have a dancing video, she must be an awesome, spectacular fighter. That being said, who knows when she's finally going to show up? Maybe when Rusev. We thought Rusev would maybe show up this week. But,
maybe I really felt like it was supposed to be this week.
I thought so too, but maybe it'll be at Backlash. I think maybe he did say at Backlash. Said, I want an answer by, I thought he said this week. But
yeah, I really thought he said.
Apparently everybody forgot about Rusev.
He's just going to fuck up whoever wins that championship.
So we had the Fashion Files again. Breeze is undercover. He comes in. He's got the fucking the bald head and the mustache and the thing on. He's been finding fashion faux pas all over the locker room. Wolf shirts from Baron Corbin. Zayn's drawers, which matches his inside of his coat. Fucking Fandango smells it, and he's like, "Don't do that." They find the Usos sweatshirts, and they say, "Day one
is H."
Day one is H. That was hilarious.
What does that mean?
Nobody
knows.
They do the fake freeze frame at the end of it, which was hilarious. So then you had the Breezango versus the Colognes. Breezango wins. Fandango with the Falcon Arrow gets the win. Interesting here. Didn't the Colognes defeat American Alpha like a couple of weeks right after the Superstar shakeup? And we haven't seen American Alpha since. And now we got the Colognes jobbing out to Breezango in a squash match. What the fuck does this mean? Where are American Alpha? They have hidden and taken them from me. I miss them. I want them back. I want them to be awesome again.
They did that to them while they were champions.
Yeah. Anyway, Breezango get the win, and we get another awesome Usos promo.
Yes.
I liked this again.
That one too, yeah.
I like this one a lot better than the week before, just because
12 days.
Yeah, the 12 days was good, but like it didn't feel as organic as what they were just going off of each other. Again, they're more comfortable being themselves. Than anything.
You talk about a non-scripted promo being good. I feel like they knew what they were going to do going into this, but it didn't feel scripted. It felt like something that they worked out together. And talking about it's going to be like a prison yard fight. What do they say?
Penitentiary.
The penitentiary or whatever versus the cops, basically, or cops versus robbers or whatever. Talking about, and you want to come out here and make jokes, Breezango? You want to be silly 5 days before Backlash? Just the Usos taking it so fucking seriously just felt really cool. And so it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic here, though, because I think people are liking the Usos promos, but they're still heels. I think people are still going to cheer on Breezango in the match. You know what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
There's, just because what they've been doing is funny and entertaining, but I like the Usos here. As far as predictions, it's pretty obvious to me. I don't see Breezango getting the titles here. I think the Usos are keeping it, Joe.
I really want Breezango to win, but I know the Usos are going to win. Just because, again, who's having a match?
Shut up!
Who's having the match on SmackDown, over some squash matches, over who's just there for a promo? They haven't done much, and they're the champions. They don't need to do much, especially when it's Breezango.
And they got to build up Breezango.
Exactly,
for that title win.
I want them to get the title, but this isn't the time.
Derek, anything?
I feel the same thing. The Usos, it just felt they're pros. They're the champ. That promo was one of my favorite parts of SmackDown tonight when they came out, because it was super organic.
That was probably the best thing from SmackDown, was the Usos promo.
Probably.
Then we had the women's contract signing. They kept spouting this off as being the most unique contract signing. We've never done a contract signing like this because nobody cares about six-man tags. Why would you do a contract signing for a six-man tag? But they did that. Lynch says she wants to slap all of them. Naomi wants to snatch ya bald. She wants to take all their hair off.
Snatch your balls.
Yeah, Ellsworth's balls.
No, to take the hair off.
No,
she said you got to make
Ellsworth's
a
balls.
We're pretty sure he's
gotta
talking
make a
about
hair appointment.
I think she was looking right at Ellsworth. I'm gonna snatch your balls.
I think you're right, actually. Charlotte says after we beat the welcoming committee, she was going for her crown and points to Naomi's championship. Ellsworth
he's a hot commodity.
Yeah, he says that he's out of their league as far as Lynch wants to get with him. So does Charlotte, apparently. And as far as Naomi goes, Carmella is going to take her out. They had the brawl. they had the brawl. Then it was the Naomi Carmella match that I kind of talked about. They gave this match time, and the story here was Carmella runs away from a fight. She doesn't like getting kicked. When it's her turn to hit somebody, she doesn't really like doing that either. But at least they gave him some time, and they had a match. Carmella wins with the most devastating move in professional wrestling, the roll-up, of course, after shenanigans at the ringside with Ellsworth getting ejected, the welcoming committee getting ejected, but then the brawl distracts Naomi because bright flashing lights tend to distract baby faces in the WWE, and Carmella gets the win. Would have been nice. It would have been nice if she actually pulled the tights or something, but
no, why do that? That would make sense.
Yeah.
I feel like she was just kind of pulling on that ass.
Maybe.
You go back and look like she was using that ass for leverage.
There is a lot of
There
it.
was ample leverage there, I suppose, for Naomi. New Day is coming soon. We had a nice little fun video for them. And then we had the second highlight reel of the show from Dolph Ziggler. So interesting, two guys stealing the Jericho gimmick here. He tries to show highlights from Nakamura, of which there are none. And then he shows some Dolph Ziggler highlights, which mostly consist of his entrance and his different hairstyles throughout the years, which is most notable to me, and his multiple Intercontinental title runs, and his very much cut short World Heavyweight Championship run. Then it was the main event that we talked about. I did like. In the main event, we made fun of it as we were watching it, but if you think about it, it kind of tells a story. So they do the thing where Randy Orton Irish whips Baron Corbin across the ring, and Baron Corbin showcases his agility by sliding out of the ring quickly and sliding back in, catching Randy off guard. They do that spot twice, and the second time we're like, come on, you're doing this fucking you're doing this again? You do that same spot twice in the match, and it just, like, it came off as uncreative, right?
Yeah. It was boring.
But then it ended up leading to the finish because Corbin does it a third time. This time, Orton's got it scouted. He got it figured out, hits the RKO out of nowhere for the win. So that was the only thing really interesting about that match, is that they took they took a boring spot and made it into the finish. I don't know. Randy Orton, with all the criticism and everything that happened on Twitter, he started this match out with 5 straight headlocks. So I don't know. No dives.
Guy can do a headlock, man.
Yeah. Let's change it up. Let's
that
do.
Sexist pig doesn't even do a prediction for the 6 women.
Oh fuck!
Match.
I forgot.
Yeah, that was my question. What is
completely forgot about predictions?
What's at stake with just the 6 ladies just going to fight each other?
It's pride is on the line.
All right.
Well, who wins the SmackDown Live women's match?
Predictions.
Pass. The baby faces are going to take it.
Yeah,
there's no way around it.
I'm pretty sure that's the way they're going to go.
Poor Natalia. Just poor Natalia.
Natalia could win with some sort of cat-like maneuver, I suppose.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the heels would win this one based on how that whole thing kind of shook out tonight.
Well, we'll see. I'm very excited for the Backlash pre-show women's 6-woman match. We didn't do Corbin versus Sami Zayn. That was I liked Zayn's promo from the show too. I thought that came across pretty good. Not quite,
a lot stronger than last week,
and not quite as dorky as he's been coming off lately. And then the Corbin attack, of course, and we're going to get the match between Corbin versus Zayn from the show. I really think
Predictions.
I really think Zayn needs the win here. Even though they've been pushing Corbin lost, of course, to Randy here, so that's a bad sign, the way WWE books. But I'm going to predict Sammy because the fan in me wants to see Zayn get the win in that one.
I was actually feeling the same exact way, but I'm opposite side. I still feel that they're going to push Corbin more to get him into that heavyweight title scene and give him the win.
Your prediction.
Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, I honestly, I think Sami Zayn, with the promo that he gave and the whole kind of little dorky flavor that they're giving him, I kind of dig that. And then Baron Corbin just kind of shows up and starts bullying him. And so I kind of feel like they'll go with Sami Zayn.
Right on.
And I don't like Baron Corbin.
Baron Corbin.
We got to play the Baron Corbin.
Please.
Where is it? Where did I put the Baron? Where did I put Baron? I thought I had him on the front page. Where did Baron Corbin go?
I disagree with your opinion, Derek, and you're only supposed to speak when spoken to.
Here is
all right, man.
Baron Corbin.
I mean,
Why? Because Baron Corbin. Matt Damon. Okay.
I can't wrestle.
Okay, so let's see here.
hilarious.
Shinsuke Nakamura versus Dolph Ziggler. Joe, what are your thoughts on this one?
Predictions.
Shinsuke in under 3 minutes.
Okay, Derek?
I think Dolph Ziggler's going to win because they're going to dick the new guy.
That's a possibility. I'm with you, Joe. I think Nakamura needs to win quickly and convincingly. I don't think they'll go that way. I think it'll be a longer, more competitive match, but Nakamura will look good and come out with the victory. But I feel like at this point, it should just be Nakamura running roughshod on Ziggler. Finally, the Orton versus Jinder Mahal. Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal for the WWE Championship. Joe, what do you think?
Predictions.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and I'm giving it to Jinder, unfortunately, because the push is happening for him. And like you said, Randy has just been absolutely boring. He looks like he does not even give a shit.
Not one
right
fuck
now.
to give you.
And just from those tweets, doesn't sound like he does. He's in it for the money, which means he's not. Lots of people are in it for the money.
Yes, sir.
But they have passion as well too, and he just doesn't have it. Hi,
Derek?
Yeah, everything he just said. Didn't he just have a baby too? Randy Orton, fresh?
That's possible. I hadn't seen that. I don't know.
Either way.
Daniel Bryan did.
He kind of feels, Randy Orton kind of feels like he's just kind of getting by from what I've seen.
Well, you're exactly right.
Haven't played that one
then
in a
it's
while.
got to be tough being Randy Orton in a John Cena world. He's a 13-time heavyweight champion. John Cena's a 16-time heavyweight champion.
I could see them going either way. Based on what happened on SmackDown makes me believe Orton is retaining. But all that being said, the Jinder push, I could see them putting it on Jinder as a transition onto somebody else. We got Shinsuke coming up. We've got AJ Styles in the mix. Kevin Owens. Of course, those guys are in the U.S. Championship picture. But then again, you got the Baron Corbin push, too. So there's possibilities here. And like I said, Orton just hasn't been lighting it up ever since he won the championship. It's just
half of it's been Wyatt, unfortunately, too.
Well, and Orton just hasn't. The Wyatt Orton feud did not build Orton up to feel like this awesome champion at all. So, and Orton's just not good in the championship role. He hasn't been in years. The crowd is bored with it. His time has passed. So we need to get Orton's more interesting when he's doing other things. People like to see
the legend killer.
People like to see Orton come in, do his shit, hit the RKO, win, and leave. That's fine, but it doesn't need to be in the main event. It doesn't need to be the championship. All that being said, I think Orton actually retains over Jinder, and Jinder quickly gets pushed back down to the mid to lower card level. So I think that's everything from SmackDown. Now let's change the subject and let's talk some Ring of Honor because I'm very excited about some Ring of Honor.
Change the subject.
I got a sip of water here. So I did talk in depth about the Ring of Honor pay-per-view on Strong Honor on the fanspodcast.com. And if you want to check out that podcast and all of the other Fans Podcast podcasts, go to your podcast gimmick on your phone, whatever you listen to podcasts on. Don't search for Strong Honor because it won't come up. Search for the Fans Podcast, and then in that podcast feed, you'll find Strong Honor in there. So that's another way you can find Strong Honor. An easier way, go to bestprowrestlingpodcast.com and click on the Strong Honor menu on the menu button.
It's like one of my favorite sites.
So that's a place you can go to check out that podcast. So I break down the whole War of the Worlds pay-per-view, but we got a chance to watch a couple of the best matches from the show.
Yes.
We watched the Young Bucks versus Tetsuya Naito and Bushi, part of Los Ingobernables de Japón, for the Ring of Honor Championships. Derek, I'm really interested to hear your thoughts because it was your first exposure to the Young Bucks, the first time you've seen Los Ingobernables de Japón, Tetsuya Naito, and Bushi, the one in the mask.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts on this match here? These guys.
I haven't watched a lot of non-WWE wrestling, so just that part in general was really kind of interesting to see new people and kind of a new environment, new flavor.
Sure.
I liked the match. I thought it was awesome. To be totally honest with you, I don't know how much I like the Young Bucks. It's a lot. Like, and I get that that's kind of maybe their gimmick.
Yeah.
But I really like Naito. Of the whole, like, his just kind of really lazy, chill kind of flavor, kicking the belt. Like, yeah, it was interesting. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. That is definitely the Young Bucks gimmick, is that they do too much, they go crazy, way too many super kicks. Their finishing move is named after the top dirt sheet writer, Dave Meltzer. So, I mean, everything about them is, like, indie-rific, and that is literally, I mean, they come out looking like a combination of, like, the Rockers and, I'm trying the Hardy Boys.
Yeah, Hardy's
influences from all the high spot monkey tag teams you can think of.
Yeah.
That's and then of course they do the NWO stuff with the Suckets and the Two Sweets. I mean that kind of thing is all over the Bullet Club.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Bullet Club does that.
Yep.
Kind of they've adopted that.
And that has come from the Young Bucks directly. But,
okay, right on.
That's permeated throughout the Bullet Club, and that's fine. And I kind of like that a guy who was unfamiliar with the Young Bucks is kind of like, who the fuck are these?
Right.
These guys are doing way too much.
That was my initial reaction to them, but it took literally 2 matches.
And that's the thing too, though, is they're in the Bullet Club. They're heels.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so different in Ring of Honor because there's more shades of gray than that. Not that they're being booked as tweeners, but they know, okay, the Young Bucks.
How many shades darker would you say?
The Young Bucks people go to see the Young Bucks. Yeah. They are a draw. So there's that, and people are in on what the Young Bucks are, and that's like one of those things that's like what Joe says, the more you watch it, the more you're kind of in on it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the fun of that.
Yeah, I like the 4 super kicks at the end, the blind super kicks to the partner and the referee.
Well, yeah, because Bushi does the green mist to Matt Jackson. Matt Jackson can't see, so he not only does he super kick the opponents, but his brother comes and tries to help him, super kicks the brother. The referee tries to help him, he super kicks the referee. The referee is down. And that, of course, leads to the finish with the ref can't make a quick count on one guy, so it's a long 2 count when a Young Buck ends up saving his brother, and the Young Bucks get the hit the Meltzer driver on Bushi to get the win after taking out Naito a couple of different times at ringside. It's so crazy because, like, obviously I'm taking notes on wrestling matches so I can talk about them on this podcast. Sometimes for Young Bucks matches, it's not even worth my time because there's so many intricacies and insanity to the spots that they do. It's just like you can't describe it, and if you do, it would just be confusing. So you just have to watch it. And so that kind of brings me to what was my favorite match of the pay-per-view: Jay White versus Will Ospreay. These two put on a hell of a match. Originally, I only gave this 4 stars. I'm definitely upping it to 4.5 at this point because, one, I feel like Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor was probably a 4-star match, especially for like a Monday Night Raw setting. And this, some people gave this 5, which I can totally understand. But to me, it was just a little bit less because it's a new story. The first time these two ever faced off. And so I feel like
nothing following it.
Nothing at stake either. No championship on the line, no number one contendership, anything like that. It was just their first match.
Well, and technically, is Chaos a heel stable?
Not really, really, because Okada is at the top of it. Chaos is the New Japan faction that Ospreay is part of. To explain it to
yeah, I kind of picked up on that. So they were talking about it.
Okada has become the number one guy in New Japan, and originally the crowd wasn't really behind him, and now with him being on top, having so many great title defenses this past year or so, and especially this year. Chaos feels to me like a babyface faction, but again, New Japan, it's more nuanced than just these are good guys, these are bad guys too. So it could depend on who you're facing. Like for instance, when it was Okada versus Shibata, the career-ending match that we've talked about several times on this show. I can hear your phone on. I thought it was a phone, maybe it was mine. I don't know. I heard something that was weird.
Man, fuck you.
Anyway,
I was trying to look up. I thought I saw something on possibly Shibata earlier, and I forgot to look it up before here.
But I would say during that match, it felt like Shibata was the babyface. The crowd was behind Shibata. Even though Okada's not a heel, it's still,
he's more over, honestly.
It depends on who you're wrestling and what story you're telling in the ring, which is a more sports-like way of telling it. If you think about MMA, I don't watch it closely by any means, but there's going to be fights where you're going to be more for one guy this one time, and maybe you're going to like him in this fight, maybe you're not going to like him in another fight, depending on who he's fighting. So that's kind of the Ring of Honor, New Japan more so. Ring of Honor definitely has the traditional heels and baby faces, but there are the in-between things when it comes to Bullet Club and other stuff. So it is what it. But let's talk Jay White versus Ospreay specifically.
Fast start.
Yeah, fast start, hard hitting. Again, it's really hard to explain some of the stuff in here. You were particularly enamored with the Spanish Fly.
Yeah, that was cool. Did. I was trying to remember what the name of that was. That move was nasty. That's super cool.
Yep. I'm trying to think what some other spots were from the match. It was just
again the Ospreay stunner out of the suplex, I believe.
The Os Cutter, yeah. That's the stunner, and then the Os Cutter is the off the ropes or whatever.
Yeah.
Basically an RKO out of a springboard. So,
yeah.
And that fucking for the win, he leaps to the top rope and hits a giant shooting star press to the floor.
Yeah.
Then throws him in and hits the Os Cutter. But I mean, we talk about just a couple of moves. This was a long match, probably around 20 minutes or so. Well, actually, I think nothing on the show was longer than 15. Now that I'm remembering, but
pushing that time.
This was an awesome long match. Both guys looked good. Jay White with the slightly bigger displayed the power in the match, countering Will Ospreay's high flying ability with the power, the German suplexes, the strongman style German suplexes off the ground or whatever.
The pile driver on the apron is crazy.
Oh yeah, he catches
the dump driver.
It was Will Ospreay does a dive onto Jay White on the floor, but White catches him and then kind of does like a suplex driver thing onto the apron from the floor. It just looked insane.
Yeah.
And there was like a camel clutch fucking flying suplex in there.
That
kind of a thing.
First miss of Ospreay's into the rail.
Oh yeah, when he chucked him into the rail.
He Triple H's him into the rail. Just how Jay White cut him off at the beginning. Yeah, just insane.
Again, Ospreay took the brunt of the hard-hitting spots.
Well, and his back was all jacked up.
He had lots of bruises and stuff when they were all done.
Yep. So, yeah, and I've talked about how Will Ospreay needs to settle down his style for certain matches, and this was a play, I haven't seen him do an insane-ass match like this in some time, so he is picking his spots, and I'm glad he saved it for this match here. All that being said, he's got a lot of crazy matches coming up for the Best of Super Juniors tournament here too, starting this week. So we'll see how Ospreay's looking by the end of this tournament. Interesting there. Main event from this show, again, I talked about it more on Strong Honor, but just for the sake of kind of going over it here. Before I talk about the main event, we should talk about the Adam Cole ousting from the Bullet Club Club. That's big news with Adam Cole possibly on his way out. Nothing's for sure yet. All signs are pointing to Adam Cole going to NXT. So he loses the match to Tanahashi. Everybody's chanting, thank you, Adam, after the match. Young Bucks come out, threaten to super kick him. They do. Instead, they hug him up, give him the curtain call. Then Kenny Omega, the leader of the Bullet Club, comes on the big screen and does a whole speech about how every fairy tale comes to an end and every fairy tale has a villain. They pan out. There's Marty Scurll standing next to Kenny Omega, and then they cut back to the ring, and it is Scurll who has joined the Young Bucks in the ring. The Scurll joins the Bullet Club. They attack Adam Cole and kick him out of the Bullet Club. So Marty Scurll, TV champion, newest part of Bullet Club, and Adam Cole on his way out. Thoughts on Adam Cole? Is he going to be in the front row at TakeOver this Saturday?
See, and that's what I want, but I feel like I'm not going to get it on this one. Like I just don't think he's going to show up. I think I know Bobby Roode did show up at the pay-per-view, but in the same way they did Bobby Roode, just have him show up a few times here and there. Just have him show up, have maybe his name mentioned, or just go James Storm style and just have him show up. I just don't do any lead up or anything. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows what he's got. Why don't we just throw him into whatever challenge that's going to be at NXT? A couple squash matches if that's need be.
Then the main event from War of the Worlds, Christopher Daniels defended the Ring of Honor Championship versus Cody Rhodes and Jay Lethal in a 3-way match. This didn't feel like the big main event of this show, mostly because the Jay White and Ospreay match was so awesome. But they sped through the show, tried to squeeze a lot of matches in. Like I said, nothing was really longer than 12, 15 minutes. A lot of quick, short matches, especially early in the card. And this match felt rushed at points too, like they didn't have enough time for it, and they had to be done by a certain time because of the pay-per-view.
It's a shame.
So I feel like they could have taken a couple of undercard matches away and left this match with a little more time. Daniels does get the win with the best moonsault ever, which was It was awesome because at one point, leading into the finish, Christopher Daniels goes through a table at ringside, so he's down for the count. Then Cody Rhodes gets Jay Lethal in the figure 4. He'd been working the leg during the match, so Cody Rhodes has him locked up in the figure 4. Looks like Lethal could tap at any moment, but then Daniels leaps up from ringside, hits the best moonsault ever. Cody can't kick out because he's got him tied up in the figure 4. So
nice.
I popped so hard for the finish. I'm like, oh, that was really cool.
That's cool.
And there was all the speculation that, it looks like Cody's going to win the championship here. Bullshit, shenanigans, whatever. But it wasn't that, and they kept it on Daniels, which I'm a fan of. I like the idea of keeping it on him for now and just Cody.
Give him a glory run.
And Cody doesn't feel right for that spot right now. They could certainly build up to it, but we'll see. Next pay-per-view for Ring of Honor, Best in the World, coming up on June 23rd, so a little over a month away for the next Ring of Honor.
I want to ask you, what's your opinion on Marty Scurll joining Bullet Club?
I think it's a good thing. I think it's good because, Bullet Club, they got shades of gray back and forth. Young Bucks are over as baby faces. Not as baby faces, but they're over. Marty Scurll is over in the same way. Like he's a villain, but everybody loves him. So the Bullet Club really is a good fit for him, especially going into Best of Super Juniors.
That's why I brought it up.
Him being part of the Bullet Club, and if you look at, and I made my predictions for the Best of the Super Juniors before I knew that Marty Scurll was going to be in the Bullet Club, and I have Marty Scurll winning his block.
Nice.
So there's that.
Being in the Bullet Club, I think that just establishes that they're trying to work that relationship with certain wrestlers into Japan. And Scurll's a perfect product to bring over to Japan.
Right. Well, since we're on the subject of Ring of Honor, let's kind of stick with that, and we're talking Best of Super Juniors already. We'll slide right into the New Japan discussion.
King of Sport. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
You don't have your cheat sheet over there, do you, Joe?
No,
with all your...
I don't.
Okay. Well,
of course not.
For Derek and all the people that don't know, we got to explain what the hell this thing is. This is an insane tournament that starts on Wednesday and goes through June 3rd with matches damn near every day. How it works, it's a round-robin tournament. So there are a total of 16 wrestlers and 2 different blocks, an A block and a B block. And so in the A block, everybody wrestles everybody. Same thing in the B block. Everybody wrestles everybody. If you win, you get 2 points. If you go to a 30-minute draw, 1 point each. You lose 0. After everybody wrestles everybody, whoever has the most points wins the block. At the end of it, the winner of each block wrestle each other, and then that's the winner of the tournament. So makes sense? Mm-hmm. All right. So the A block is loaded. The B block, not so much. But like I said, I've got Skrull winning the A block with 12 points. Ospreay, I got him coming in second with 10. Now, one of the reasons why here is because the A block is so loaded, so it's hard for any one guy to kind of get ahead. And the story with Skrull now makes even more sense with him being affiliated with the Bullet Club, because not only can he break everyone's fingers, which is one of his spots, he likes to do a finger breaker spot during his matches, but you can now incorporate Bullet Club shenanigans in order to get wins in the tournament. But I got Ricochet going back and forth, getting 8 points. Takahashi, the current IWGP Junior Champion, going back and forth, getting 8 points. A couple of the Suzuki Gun guys not doing very well in the tournament. Dragon Lee doing okay, getting 8 points. I got Jushin Thunder Liger with a lowly 1 win in the tournament. Poor Jushin Thunder Liger.
I think it's going to be a brutal year for him.
It's going to be, I think he'll have good matches and they'll be entertaining, but with him being in this loaded bracket, somebody's got to lose these matches. And unfortunately, I got him getting his only win over Tai Chi from Suzuki Gun. So,
and I want to remember from my sheet, I'll just get my 2 picks out there, but I'm pretty sure I had Ospreay myself in the A block.
Yeah, and a lot of people are picking Ospreay in this because his push in New Japan has been lackluster. He just had that awesome match with Jay White, who's part of New Japan, by the way. Ospreay having that awesome match, and people can't figure out if Ospreay has a 1-year contract or a 2-year contract. If it's a 2-year, this is the 2nd year just starting now. So if you're going to push him, now's the time. And they haven't done a great job pushing him up to this point. A lot of people want to see Ricochet, but he just lost to the championship. I think Ricochet will win when he faces the champion in the tournament, and that might lead to a rematch at some point after the tournament. But nevertheless, I like Ospreay as a pick, but I got Skrull. B block, I got the former champion making a comeback. He's been on a losing streak ever since Wrestle Kingdom. I got Kushida winning it. I got him running the table, winning every single one of his matches. So a good pick there, just because he might not win all of his matches. He probably won't win all of his matches, but if I'm trying to win this tournament contest, it's a pretty good pick, I think.
Yeah, I think I've got him too.
For second place in the B block, I got ACH with 10 points, and I got Bushi in third, part of Los Ingobernables, with 8 points in the tournament.
I have ACH anywhere near that high, but I could be wrong.
So it'll be interesting. So the finals of the tournament, I think it'll be a fun match. Kushida versus Skrull, especially now with the Bullet Club affiliation. But it could be so many different possibilities. So I went over and highlighted the whole tournament, key matches to look forward to. But I want to specifically talk about the next week of the tournament, because obviously that's what we'll be talking about on next week's show. Also of note, the night one. May 17th, this Wednesday, so available Thursday for people listening to the podcast, because these shows are in the middle of the night here because they're live in Japan. But night one features both A and B block matches, so it's an all singles match show, which is nice because usually on these shows the undercard will be multi-man tag matches featuring performers not on the current block being defended, and other heavyweight contenders, etc., etc. So, but the first night features both A and B block, all singles matches, and it is available free on NJPW World. So if you want to watch the first night of the tournament, you can watch it for free on NJPW World.
And what time is that?
You can watch anytime on demand, but it's live in the middle of the night. I think it starts at 4 a.m. here.
Maybe I will have to enjoy that.
But night one, you'll get Will Ospreay versus Marty Scurll, and the main event for that show is the current champion Hiromu Takahashi taking on Dragon Lee in an awesome feud that those two have been having back and forth.
I've been loving Takahashi.
Yeah, and Takahashi and Dragon Lee had awesome matches in Mexico, some awesome matches earlier for New Japan, and in Ring of Honor as well. So then the night two, Ricochet versus Will Ospreay, the rematch from what we talked about from last year's Super Junior. Last year's match you can watch free on New Japan World and on YouTube right now, but the rematch will be on night two on the 18th. From the 21st, I highlighted Ricochet versus Takahashi, the current champion. This is where I look for Ricochet to get a win over the champion, possibly. Then on the 22nd, Kushida versus Bushi I have highlighted.
Nice.
As the main event. This past week on Access TV was the match where, so Kushida was the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion for most of last year. And then at one point, Bushi used shenanigans from Los Ingobernables to get the title. In the rematch, Kushida won it back despite all the bullshit and shenanigans from Los Ingobernables, and that was the match featured on last week's Access TV show for New Japan. So if you want to watch that match, you can watch it on last
They're being
week's
smart with this
Access TV show. So that match is coming up in the next week or so, too. Finally, Ricochet versus Dragon Lee from the 23rd is another match coming up the next week, and I'm going to stop there because I'm not sure what on my day. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So by anything after that, we're getting into stuff that's going to be further down. So, but tons of stuff. I mean,
so much
between WWE, New Japan, the fucking UK show, NXT. There's so much shit to get into this week. It's just insane. All that being said, running a little long this week, but we got to touch on NXT and do our predictions for Takeover.
Change the subject.
This thing takes too long to get into the brunt of it. I miss the old theme song, but the new one's all right, though, too. You know what I got fucking stuck in my head this week? I listened to 2 Jericho podcasts. In the last 2 weeks, he has played his new song, Judas or whatever, one of the theme songs for the NXT show, and I woke up with that fucking song stuck in my head.
I'm so sorry.
So,
have you seen the music video?
It's not good.
I haven't watched the video yet.
Oh,
it's not good.
But apparently it was
terrible.
taped to DDP's yoga performance center or something.
Just imagine Chris Jericho and some I'd say half sexy chicks dancing behind him. I mean, they're okay looking, but they obviously got him off the street.
They were the Nitro girls in the 90s, but
they've just been hanging out with DDP since then.
At the ranch.
It makes so much sense.
Now that's a reality show I'd watch.
All right, in NXT last week, Aleister Black took on Cesar Bonani. Is that how you say it? This was interesting because this Bonani guy, big jacked up guy, but green or whatever, they do a nice back and forth. It wasn't just a straight up squash match for Aleister, but Aleister looks good, making his comebacks, wins with the black mass, outstrikes the bigger guy. So I like this. Just how awesome! Who knew? I'm so fucking entertained by these squash matches for Aleister Black.
I enjoy them at least better than the Authors of Pain's ones that I had to suffer through for so long.
Well, because Aleister is just that much better too.
Yeah.
So that helped. Like Authors of Pain were like the green ones, whereas the guys facing him were more the good hands or whatever. Where this time it's Aleister who's the good guy in there with guys that aren't quite as good, and it's obvious. So that helps out.
Well, and the character's perfect for his attitude. The theme music is perfect. Everything about him is working out. I'm so excited to see him up in the main roster because I don't think he's going to be in NXT long. I think he's going to go the Kevin Owens route where he's in and out.
That's quite possible. Where did Too many papers here. That's quite possible. Ember Moon is out of the TakeOver Chicago show, selling the injury that is quite possibly worked. I like the idea of a worked. I hope it's a worked injury. I never wouldn't wish injury on anybody, but I like the idea of keeping her out of the title picture and building up to another big one-on-one match, whether it's versus Asuka or somebody else. But we did have a nice promo from Ruby Riott saying that her tattoos tell her story, and she is sacrificed to be in NXT, and getting hit reminds her that she's alive. A good, passionate promo from Ruby Riott. I enjoyed that.
No, it was good. I have enjoyed her every second that she's come in, because they've done with her what I want to see them do with an experienced wrestler, technically, and that's not squash matches. Let's just throw them right into something. It doesn't have to be a championship, but at least give them a competent opponent, something of their stature.
Yeah, and she's looked good, just kind of thrown right into that picture, too. Definitely looked the part. Nikki Cross, they try to sit her down for an interview. She is not microphone friendly, as Joe is impersonating Nikki Cross. She will not have it. She will not sit down. She cannot be contained. She will not play nice with microphones, which is perfect for her gimmick. This was so perfect.
It was. If there's one thing that sanity has given me, it is Nikki Cross.
Yes, very good stuff. So let's get the predictions for Asuka versus Nikki Cross versus Ruby Riott for the NXT Women's title. What do you think, Joe?
It's tough because Asuka's so close to Goldberg's record, since we're bringing it up right now.
Yeah.
But Asuka is, I want to say, within 10 or so matches of
10 days or matches?
I want to say matches.
Okay, yeah, because they kept track of the Goldberg record.
Yeah,
not the days. Right.
Correct. They did how many wins, and I think it's somewhere in that 170 range. Something like that. But I know she's close, and I feel like they're going to give it to Asuka, just honestly to give anybody of WWE credit. A different record, kind of erasing Bill Goldberg in that sense.
I like that story. I also like Ruby Riott versus Nikki Cross. That feud going into it. I think those two taking each other out is going to be advantage to Asuka. And also, I like the story, the Ember Moon story. Let's not forget about that. Ember Moon looked like she had Asuka beat, and Asuka does the dastardly thing. Damn near this is pretty much the heel turn for Asuka. She shoves the referee into the ropes, knocking Ember Moon off the top, allowing Asuka to take advantage and get the win. So I like the Ruby Riott and Nikki Cross being so hot on each other that gives Asuka the advantage. Keep the championship on Asuka and build up to Ember Moon versus Asuka, probably at the SummerSlam takeover. And I think that would be a pretty cool main event to build up to. Derek, I don't know if you're following NXT, but do you have any feelings on the predictions going into this?
I don't know anything, but I do think that's cool. So she's coming up on Goldberg's record without having ever lost, or just
in NXT.
In NXT,
yeah.
Okay, right.
Who knows what she's done in Japan? But
yeah,
she's
but as far as
she's mid-30s, so she's had experience. That's why she came in so hot.
Yeah.
And honestly, there just hasn't been really much challengers for her
it was very interesting news this week too, because I don't have the names in front of me, and I'm not really familiar with them, but they have signed, or there's definitely rumors that they are going to sign two very popular women's wrestlers from Japan, from the Stardom promotion over there, which I have not seen.
I just know one of them's last name is Kim,
and there's another one. I think it's
I
think the name is Io Shirai. I think if I'm saying that right, Io Shirai, maybe. Like I said, I'm not familiar, but another couple of hard-hitting, strong style women coming from Japan. So that could be an interesting matchup style-wise for Asuka too. Yeah. But again, going with the story, I like the Ember Moon story on top, and I like Asuka retaining here. It is going to be Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate at TakeOver Chicago. Joe, what do you think?
Predictions.
Well, at this point now, I think Pete Dunne wins it at this show. We need something different for one. We've had Tyler Bate for a little bit. I don't think they've featured him enough, honestly. We've had a couple matches on NXT, but they don't have their show yet. But once the show pops up, it's going to be fine. They're going to get that exposure. But let's change it up a little bit and, go from babyface to heel. Give it, that dynamic and play out.
It is hard because they have not had a consistent platform to showcase these guys. They have been on NXT a little bit more, which is nice. But yeah, so not much story in here other than Pete Dunne was the other finalist in the finals for the UK title tournament. So this is a rematch from the finals.
And a piece of shit.
Yeah. So I can see them going either way. I like the Pete Dunne winning it going into the weekly show to add intrigue here, but I also don't mind Tyler Bate retaining here and keeping a strong champion as well, and then maybe having some sort of angle after the match where Dunne gets his heat back, possibly. But I'm going to go with you. I'm going to predict that Pete Dunne gets the win here going into the new UK show.
That's one record that's never going to be beat by anybody. Tyler Bate will remain the youngest UK champion forever.
Right.
He's not even
19.
old enough to drink.
Then it was Wesley Blake interrupting Drew McIntyre's interview. He tells him to leave, so a slight possibility. Now, we only have technically 4 matches booked at this point for TakeOver Chicago, so we still have to watch this week's NXT show, so we'll possibly get a McIntyre-Wesley Blake match either on TV this week or possibly TakeOver. Anything to
God, I hope on TV.
We got another video for the Velveteen Dream, Patrick Clark. He'll be making some sort of re-emergence at some point. DIY say they never had a one-on-one rematch for the tag team titles and say the line starts behind them. Tino Sabatelli and Riddick Moss cross the line. Then we have the match between those two. DIY win with the knee/kick that they do. They get the heat on Ciampa. Great hot tag from Gargano, overcoming the much bigger and in-shape former football players Sabatelli and Moss.
I think those guys are going to be fun once they get a good, run.
Yeah, it's interesting because those guys have been down there in the developmental system for a couple of years now. They've been more recently on the tours and stuff, so getting more established. But for as long as they've been in the system, you'd think they'd be definitely ready for some sort of push or some sort of exposure. But they still come across as pretty damn green to me,
Well, and it's kind of like how Ty Dillinger I'm not sure if that he technically came up with that gimmick specifically or had help, but I mean before that, what was he? He was Ty Dillinger.
Right.
You have to earn your way. You got to show that you can do something with any kind of promotion or any kind of gimmick.
Well, look at Jason Jordan.
Clindix.
Look at Jason Jordan and what he did with Chad Gable. That led to
that went on for weeks.
And that was great. And Jason Jordan was fucking nobody before that. And so you could even argue that he's still kind of a bit of a hole charisma-wise, a black hole charisma-wise. But I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting to see how guys evolve going through NXT. So, but it will be a DIY versus the Authors of Pain in a ladder match, which doesn't make a ton of sense.
Nope.
But again, it's WWE, so what are you going to do? Go ahead.
I was going to say it's basically a way for DIY to make Authors of Pain look good.
Yeah, and it's also another way for to potentially get the titles off of DIY without taking a fall necessarily. So if you just climb a ladder and peel off a title, it doesn't mean you actually beat them. You just climbed the ladder and got a title. So I don't know. What is your prediction for this one?
I got Authors of Pain retaining. I think DIY is one of two things can happen. I don't want them to split, but both of them will work great in the Cruiserweight. The Cruiserweight show, but otherwise they need to go up. I mean, there's no reason to keep them down there. They've had even just a small title run. They can show that they can work together, and they're both experienced wrestlers, and they need solidified tag teams up there.
I'm done wishing that people go up to the main roster from NXT because they do so much better booking them on NXT.
I know.
I want them to do well and make more money and all of that. Don't get me wrong, but the fan in me, just stay in NXT and be awesome. So,
well, that's what a lot of guys are saying. They're just sticking in NXT because that's where they want to be.
Hey, if that works for them, that works for me.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, this is a tough one too because I could see him keeping him on Authors of Pain, building up heavy machinery. They've been doing that. I really like the DIY story. I could see them losing here and then, I don't know, maybe coming back in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic this year, maybe winning that tournament, getting another chance. I want to see DIY win, but it just, and I don't know which way to go with this one. This is a really tough call. I think DIY.
I'd go with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I'm going DIY. I'm going DIY just because this
One of
is
them's named Razor, for God's sake.
this is the only way that they're going to beat. Because look at it, DIY couldn't get it done with the Revival. They teamed up with the Revival. They're bitter enemies. They couldn't get it done.
You got to bring up that great match, man.
It was a great match, and I think this will be great too. But I think this is where the ladder gimmick will allow DIY to, like I said, get the victory without actually pinning or submitting anybody in the Authors of Pain. So protecting Authors of Pain in that sense, I think. Cassius Cassius Ono is going to be taking on Andrade Cien Almas this week on the show. So I wonder if this is going to lead into some sort of angle that gets onto the Takeover show, possibly between those two, or maybe even somebody else. I mean, we've got potentials here for that are not booked on the Takeover Chicago show. One is Almas, Cassius Ono, Roderick Strong has got nothing on the main show. Also, Aleister Black, nothing on the main show, and Heavy Machinery not booked.
That made me sad.
So definitely some reasons to tune in this week to see what they do last minute going into Takeover. Go ahead.
Is Heavy Machinery a tag team?
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
That's pretty rad.
I'm telling you, you're going to like them.
And rad is like one of the best ways to describe Heavy Machinery.
Oh, dude, they're funny.
Just two big fucking guys that ham hocks eating
weights.
Eating steaks and slamming weights. You know, that's what they're doing. So, yeah. Where was I here? The main event from last week for the number one contendership, Roderick Strong versus Hideo Itami. A fun match here. I really enjoyed this. It was a first kind of matchup between these two, but
and two different styles too.
Two different styles, but I really liked the gorilla in interviews, interviewing them in the back, right behind the curtain, right before the match, getting their thoughts as they go out to ringside. Just something different that you don't see a lot of time. And I liked that aspect.
That and
of
the
it.
in-ring ones, those are just fun.
Strong works on the shoulder and back. They call him the Messiah of backbreakers. Great back and forth. Good near falls for Strong. Hideo Itami wins the match with the hesitation dropkick and the GTS. Nice show of respect after the match. So it will be Hideo Itami taking on Bobby Roode for the NXT Championship. Joe, what do you think?
Predictions.
Keep it on the glorious one. I like the idea of putting Tommy in the heavyweight title right away, but it's not. Again, they can't put it on him yet.
Yeah,
he's injury prone, and we got to see him stick around.
I'm with you. I want to see a bigger push for anybody to get up to the title picture, and they've got a lot of good contenders right now, and it just doesn't feel like the right moment to take it off of Bobby Roode. So it'll be, like I said, there's still a lot of questions to be answered from watching this week's NXT TV show. So I don't think, did we hit on everything here? Did we hit? Yeah, we hit the women's match.
Yep.
Yeah, there's only 4 matches to hit. So like I said, do we see now at these big NXT Takeover events? We touched on this a little bit earlier with the Adam Cole speculation. Do we see anybody sitting front row? Any surprises?
I mean, if it's not Adam Cole, there will be somebody.
Kyle O'Reilly.
Oh God damn. Oh, God, I think you just made me come.
Well, I can't think of a better way to end the show than with a Joe orgasm line. So, like I said, follow the show on Twitter at BPW Podcast. Follow me on Twitter. I'm Tommy Stryker, spell Stryker with a Y. That's at Tommy Stryker, by the way. Get on the show, the website. Check out the links to the YouTube videos I talked about. Find links to Strong Honor. Find links to all of our social media accounts. BestProWrestlingPodcast.com. Send us an email, bestprowrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. And that's it for me. Joe, where can people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at JoeBPWP. That's Joe Best Pro Wrestling Podcast.
And Derek, any social media you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Caveman Clayworks.
Check it out.
Like I said, that's going to do it for this week for the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. Bye!
Peace.
Thank you.
How you doing? Yes.
Tonight, we're going to have a holla holla tag team match.
What the hell's wrong with
WWE. That's open hand slap, huh? What is your submission hold?
Come San